Hello everyone, welcome to Child Development 210. This first lecture is an introduction for a couple different things, myself, my family, as well as the course, which will help as we move along, help you get used to what iLearn 3 is like. If you haven't taken a course on the new iLearn, it can be a learning curve, and so this will be a great way for me to show you where everything is and how assignments work and things like that. Again, I will be doing these lectures for each unit, so it'll be a similar presentation as well as a webcam of me, and that way I can go through each unit individually, certain questions that are more difficult or some helpful hints that I have, as well as how that specific unit applies to our life in different areas. I will warn you, I will try and do these lectures when my kids are quiet, napping, or out with my husband, but in case there's an occasional scream or cry, that's why. Typically I try to do it when they're asleep, but sometimes that may or may not happen, so just be patient with me, and if it gets too noisy, I'll turn it off and start up later again. So this presentation will, as I said, will cover a little bit more about me and my family, as well as focus a lot about the course and what the course looks like, my expectations, my grading policies, my course policies, and things like that. So first, a little bit about me. My family and I, we live about an hour south of Houston, Texas. We've lived here for 3.5 years. When my husband graduated from BYU and got a job here as a chemical engineer. We love it. It's hot in the summer, but we both grew up, I grew up in Wisconsin, my husband's from Alaska, and so there's no desire for either one of us to go back to where it snows. So we're happy here. I joined the church when I was 18. My best friend in high school was a member, and she introduced it to me during our senior year in high school, and I joined a few days before I graduated. My family has not joined, unfortunately. I'm the only member right now. Shortly after I was baptized, I went off to school. I started at Utah State University and then transferred to BYU. I completed my degree there in recreation, specifically recreational therapy. And then I did my master's at the University of Southern Mississippi in family and child development. As far as work experience, I was a program director at a YMCA camp for 5 years. I loved it. I love camp. If it was more fitting for a family life, I would do it, but I can't be working every summer. But I loved camp. Then I also worked at a residential treatment center for children ages 8 to 13. So this was a facility that in Utah where kids who were having severe behavioral issues in their home came to stay at the center, at the facility, for anywhere from 3 to 12 months. And they received intensive therapy. They had a school there for them to attend. And I worked as a recreational therapist there. Additionally, I've worked with adults with mental disabilities at a care center as a case manager. So while I don't work currently with kids, I've had several years of experience with that. Here's just some pictures. This is at a ropes course at the camp I worked at, and then this was a recent trip to Spain. My husband and I went last year, right before our son was born. So about my family. My husband and I met on a blind date at BYU. We got set up by a mutual friend, and we're married later in that year, in 2010. We got married in the Manti Temple. We have 2 children. Ashton right here is our oldest. She turns 3 in just a few days. And then Tanner is our son. He's our youngest. He will be 8 months in September, later this month. So they keep us busy. This is a picture from our son's blessing back in March. As I said, my husband works here as a chemical engineer for Dow Chemical, and as a family, we like to be outside. We love going to the beach. You'll see with my daughter, she loves playing in the sand. Anything outdoors. Our daughter always wants to go to the park and go for walks and bike rides, so we love being active with her and raising our kids. Alright, so that's a little bit about me. If you have questions about any of the experiences or education choices I made, please let me know. I've had students in the past who are interested in receiving a master's. I did my master's online through the University of Southern Mississippi, and it was a great experience for me. But if you have questions about any of that, let me know. I'm here to help. Also, for parenting advice, I can't really do much over the age of 3, but I can give you what research would say, or what the theories are for different age groups, and I can help you out with that. Alright, so let's get into the course. That's going to be the meat of this presentation. Hopefully this will help clarify some questions that you have, and help you not feel so overwhelmed. So first of all, this course is organized into units. Depending on the online courses you've taken, sometimes they have weekly, it's week by week that you have different assignments due. This course is not like that, so it's a little confusing at the very beginning as far as when is this due, when's that due. So each unit lasts 2.5 weeks. So we'll have a due date on a Saturday, and then a due date on a Thursday, and then Saturday and Thursday and Saturday. So that's why I said it's a little bit confusing when you first think about it, but we'll get used to it, I promise. And as I mentioned, I send out emails at the beginning of each unit. I send emails out halfway through the unit. I send emails out a day before the unit's due, 2 days before the unit's due, the day the unit is due. So that should lessen the confusion by increasing the communication between us. There is a course schedule on iLearn. I'll show you it when I switch screens here. That has the due dates outlined for you. I will also email this document to you. That way you can save that email and you can always have it, because sometimes when you go back to iLearn and you can't find something, it's really frustrating because you have to dig around different folders. And this way, if you save the email that I send it to you in, you can get to it right away, it pops up, and it's easy to find. Course assignments. What's nice about this course is for each of the 5 units, it's the same exact assignments. So every unit you have the same 5 assignments to complete. Of course the questions change, but it's the same thing. The first part is reading quizzes. These reading quizzes are based out of your textbook, which is the 9th edition, The Developing Person by Kathleen Berger. Keep in mind that we are using the 9th edition. There is a 10th edition available. The on-campus courses at BYU Idaho are using the 10th edition. The online course has not been rewritten yet to use that. So for this semester, this is the last semester, we will continue to use the 9th edition. Someone has asked that their 9th edition didn't have the special update for DSM-5. That's not vital. So if your book doesn't have this little sticker thing about DSM-5, that's okay. We don't use DSM-5 at all. So be sure to get the 9th edition. But your reading quizzes for each unit, we cover a certain number of chapters. So chapters 3, 4, and 5, or whatever it is, 11, 12, 13. And there will be a reading quiz on each individual chapter. The reading quizzes are 10 questions each, and you can take it up to 3 different times. And it will automatically take your highest score. I will warn you, every semester it seems like there's 1 or 2 reading quizzes that have a question that's miskeyed. Because it does grade automatically, I do not go in and check these. So if you get your grade back and you think, oh, I really thought that question was correct, and it marked it wrong, send me an email, I'll look it over, and like I said, almost every semester there's a few questions that are miskeyed, and we can go in and change the grade. So if you're concerned about your scores, just let me know and we can work it out. Then the next assignment is Dear Abby letters. These letters replicate what we know of as Dear Abby, which is famously known for in a newspaper that people would write in questions about life that they were seeking advice for, and then the Dear Abby writer would write back and give advice. So these letters, It's when you open up the assignment, I'll show you these in just a second. It's a compilation of several different letters written out asking for parenting advice about certain topics, and you are required to respond to them. In all the all the Dear Abby letters, there's probably about 12 to 16 to choose from. You're required to respond to 9 letters, 3 from each chapter. So for example, the first unit covers chapters 2, 3, and 4. So in that first unit for Dear Abby, you'll pick 3 letters that are chapter 2, 3 letters that are chapter 3, 3 letters that are chapter 4. Even though there might be 6 letters to choose from chapter 4, you just have to pick 3. There is a minimum word requirement, not a maximum, a minimum word requirement of 2,200 words. And I will remind you this for every unit so that you won't miss it. The reflective journal is another assignment. It's a series of roughly 18 to 25 questions, heavily related to the text, as well as some videos that we have on iLearn for you to watch and relate to course material. I will warn you, the first unit, the reflective journal, there's a lot of, I think there's 27 questions, and it's the first, I don't want you to get scared by the first unit. The first unit's reflective journal is probably the hardest journal out of all the 5 units. So bear with it, stay with it, and it'll get a little bit easier, I think, from my perspective and what I've heard from other students in the past semesters. The collaborative quest is also a discussion board. And here the topic will change each unit based on what we're learning about. The first unit, it's on just an introduction of yourself, so it's easy. What's required for this is that your initial post is due by the end of the first week of the unit. So remember, each unit is 2.5 weeks long. So by the end of the first week, you need to make your first initial post, which is going to be your biggest post, most likely. A substantial post on the topic. So for example, Unit 1, your introduction. You make your introduction to yourself, who you are, why, what are you studying, what's your family like, where are you living, things like that. Then, in the following week and a half left of the unit, you are required to receive full points, you're required to make 2 additional posts to your peers. This discussion board takes the place of an in-class discussion that we are not able to have because we meet online instead of on campus. So these discussion boards are where you get to know your peers, where you bounce ideas off each other, where you collaborate together. And so it's crucial that that initial post is made within the first week, because I know if we didn't have that, everyone would wait until the last 3 days of the discussion to post, and then there's no time for further communication and further discussion. The last assignment is the observations and development. This has you watch different videos of children based on what age group we're going through, because it's one thing to read about development, but to actually see it is a whole other element of application. And so this observation and development assignment will have you watch different videos and then apply the developmental stages to them. And so I love this assignment. I think it helps students see it in real life and see it practically. So my course policies, the first one, I accept late work up to 5 days late. So if assignment, discounting Sundays. So if assignments are due Saturday at midnight and you turn it in at 8 a.m. Sunday, I don't count it as late work. I will share my testimony with you that I have, through my own experience, a very strong testimony of not doing schoolwork on Sundays. It may seem bizarre to take one more day out of the mix to complete work, but I would advise you and recommend that you try that on your own and see how it works for you and see the blessings of it. As such, I typically will not check my email on Sundays unless it's, sometimes I'll check it when I'm going to bed at night, and if it's an emergency, I'll respond. But if you have an emergency on a Sunday, just text me about it, because I'll most likely respond to that a lot faster than email. So with late work, I'll accept it up to 5 days late, but each day it's late, I deduct 10%. So if it's 1 day late, you're automatically at 90% if your assignment has no other loss of points. 2 days late, you're at 80%. So keep that in mind. Linked with late work, I do have a forgiveness policy. I understand that life happens. Kids get sick,